In 2014, 3 young Israeli teens were waiting at a bus stop on their way home in the West Bank when they were kidnapped and later murdered by the Hamas terror organization, which operates out of the Gaza Strip. The tragic murder of the boys eventually led to the 2014 war in Gaza known as Operation Protective Edge by the Israeli military. The war may have ended, but Rachel Frenkel, the mother of one of the murdered boys, Naftali Frenkel, is taking the fight one step further, this time from a legal standpoint. Joining me today to discuss the lawsuit is Israeli attorney Sharon Nahari. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So, to begin, can you tell us about the context of this lawsuit? Who are the plaintiffs? Who are the defendants, and what is at stake here?
Usually the court, when you have a lawsuit in court, the defendant is the people that the claim is upon them. For example, in this kind of case of Mrs. Frenkel, the defendant are the Iranian and the Syrian governments, which she claimed that is responsible for the kidnapping of the kids that has been murdered. So the defendant is the countries Iran and Syria, and the plaintiff is the one who wants to sue. In this case, is the mother, and she has the right to sue because she is a U.S. citizen, and this give her the right to sue in the U.S. court, actually. Otherwise, she couldn't.
Right. Now, Rachel is suing in efforts to try and cut off funding towards Hamas, which is responsible for what happened to her son, and she can identify how the money travels to a certain extent. Now, can't these funds be frozen before they get to Hamas?
This is a big question. Following the protective principle approach laid down by the Court of Appeal lately in the U.S. Court of Appeal, the federal judges in a few cases give several decisions which are precedents today that actually they can forfeiture and take assets of Iran or Syria if they find that they have contact to terror or support terror. So actually these are the cases. The problem is that after the decisions of the court, Iran trying to play games and not paying to the victims. Even though the decision of the courts are that they need to pay millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to the victims, it's not the only case. There were cases before, and the judge accepted the lawsuit against Iran. And the problem is how to collect the money from Iran. This is a big problem because they're trying to hide behind a charity institute and other companies, offshore companies, and the buildings and the assets. By the way, they don't send a lawyer to the lawsuit. They just, most of the time, the judges decide without the lawyer, but they send the lawyer after the decisions to protect the assets, to claim different claims that it's not belong to them and you cannot take it. This is a big problem. So to your question, if they can stop the fund before, it's a big problem because although Obama started doing things we know before a few years, and it's a problem because you need to have the contact and it needs to be, proof and evidence that first of all, it belongs straightly to the government of Iran. And secondly, which is not easy, that they have direct or indirect connection to support the terror. For example, in this kind of case of Rachel, for example, she claimed that she has evidence, intelligence evidence, and people from the intelligence in Israel that will come to be witness in the trial, that they know and they have a proof, a specific proof that Iran and Syria gave money and support the family of the murderers, which is very, very interesting. And if the court will accept this testimony, the witnesses, and those evidence which will be exhibited in the case, and the court can claim and to decide against Iran and Syria, and again to decide that they can pay hundreds of millions of dollars for the victims.
But again, that money actually has to...
It's a circle. It's
right,
a circle.
Exactly. So.
But now they start to... There are some cases now in the United States that they start collecting the assets and which is very good. Iran need to know that she cannot hide anymore behind charities, institutions, and offshore companies. And if she will put her legs in terror, indirect or directly, she will pay the price.
Absolutely. Now, are there any other ways to cut Hamas off from this type of financial support, other than legally, I guess?
I think there are some civil action that can be taken regarding money laundering acts. For example, if there will be evidence that Iran buy or bought assets or funds or money in the banks, that the roots of the money, the basic of the money, belong to terror or need to support terror, I think that they can do it to freeze it before something will happen.
Interesting. So my next question is two-part. If the lawsuit fails, doesn't that leave Rachel and the other plaintiffs at risk of being countersued? And two, if the lawsuit is successful, how can Iran be forced to pay her? That we just spoke about this issue, obviously.
Yes. So the first point that you say, the first question is if she can be a countersuit. The answer is no, because it's not a game. I mean, if someone sues someone in court and if he loses, he cannot sue him because he sued him. It's not a game, and it's not working like that. Regarding the other question, I already answered if they can catch the assets, which is already going to do now. In 2015, there are two presidents in the United States that allow the victim to catch and execute the assets of Iran. One of it, it's a bank, it's a building, money on the bank, everything. They can start doing it and to divide it to the victims. So which is a sign. It's a symbolical sign that need to stop the terror. Right. Iran cannot play games anymore, and even though Syria, they cannot support terror and to be in the United Nations when Obama speaking and playing like they like to be peace all over the world. It's not going both ways.
Now, my final question for you is, do you think that, Rachel's going to win this lawsuit? What are the chances?
If, according to what I read, if she really has this evidence and the witnesses, I think she has a very good chance. And also, regarding the two presidents that have now in 2015, she can have a good chance after to collect the money. As I understand, Rachel have a big sorrow and she's not interested in the money, but although there is a charity in Israel that represent them, Rachel and the others, that maybe collect the money, or I don't know, but now she can collect the money. It's a procedure. It's another procedure, hard procedure, and at the end of the day, she can get the money.
Well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what happens, and obviously hope for the best.
Yeah.
Hope that she can kind of overcome this terrible tragedy that's happened to her family.
Big tragedy, yeah.
Big tragedy. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.